Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. The project we're starting today is somewhat bittersweet because we're cleaning up the farm, which is a good thing, and we're getting some building materials we're going to use in our own house. But the bitter part is we're tearing down my wife's grandmother's house that is partially burned in the process. We're going to take this spot eventually and reuse the slab to put a greenhouse so we can start growing our own vegetables and that kind of stuff in the off season and get our seeds and stuff we're going to plant in our main garden area that we've been cleaning up behind us. It started inside that greenhouse. So we're going to set you up here, and I'm going to start using the backhoe to start clearing brush and get us a path to get in and start tearing this house down. This is what the house site looks like after we did the first round of clearing. We're just trying to get some room to work to tear the structure down, and then when we figure out how we're going to use the space surrounding where the greenhouse is going to be, we'll do the rest of the clearing. This morning we're starting the process of removing the rock from the exterior of the house, and we're going to try to clean it up as best we can and get it on the pallets so we can move it down to where we're building our house and start getting it staged for when it's time to put the exterior on our house. We're trying to figure out what's going to be the best way to separate these. If we want to do it by size, if we want to do it by thickness, shape, what? And the short answer is I don't know. I think size might be the easier way. Of course, it's going to be like a jigsaw puzzle, trying to figure out how to best place these things on the pallets to make use of the space. And out behind the house, there is an old septic tank that we're going to need to fill in, so we'll probably use the leftover pieces of mortar for that. Figure, based on looking at this place in the summertime, and it's about 60 degrees today, I'm going to run into some wasps when I start peeling this off. So hopefully it's not going to be too ugly. And I don't know if I need to try to shape some of these before they go on the pallet. Thankfully, in 1947, they weren't using too good a mortar, apparently. And while stone is not exorbitantly expensive, it's a free resource that we've got here. We need to tear this down anyway because it's falling down, and it provides some nostalgia because we're taking part of a house that my wife, we're taking part of a house that my wife grew up in and played in, stayed in, and we're reusing it in part of our home. So it should be pretty nice for her. Some of these, the juice may not be worth the squeeze. You might need to have another pallet that's a come back to it later pile. Of course, if you do that, the danger is everything you got is a come back to it later. Now, I would be willing to bet, as easy as most of this is coming off, that these rocks were put up dry instead of getting them wet and then putting them in the mortar so they would stick a little better. You end up with a bad bond, especially between this sandstone and the mortar, if you don't wet it down before you put it in the mortar bed. It sucks all the moisture out of the mortar and doesn't bond very well. My wife's grandfather built this house after World War II, and over the years, her great-grandfather had quite a bit of land around here, and over the years, different family has ended up with pieces and parts of it, and we bought the land we've got from my wife's aunt, and her sister has some land over here that she got from their dad. So kind of nice. All our closest neighbors seem to be, with few exceptions, family members. Of course, that could be good and it could be bad, depending on your family. It seems like some of this sandstone is fragile because it was probably fractured when it was put up, and over the years it's gotten water in it that's frozen and expanded those cracks open. So some of them are delaminating, part of the rock sticking to the mortar and part of it's coming off. Since this channel that we're doing is pretty new, I'm still trying to figure out what exactly people want to watch. And if watching me do stuff like this at regular speed is kind of like watching paint dry, if y'all let me know, I can either speed it up, try to figure out how to do a time lapse, or just cut it down and move on to the next part. But without some kind of feedback, I really don't know what people are interested in. All I can base it on is how many people look at the videos and what they skip past, which seems to be somewhat arbitrary. Looks like they put the visually more interesting side of that rock to the inside. I would suspect it was to prevent water from getting in these cracks and splitting this off the face of the house. But since we're going to have basically a 10-foot overhang all the way around the first floor of the house, this will be covered, so we'll have a little bit more option on what sides we can put facing out. I know it might seem silly saving little rocks like this, but we built about 300 feet of dry stack wall, and then did another 16 by 32 shop footing and stem wall using stone and mortar, and you'd be amazed how many times you need a little bit of rock to fill a hole to get a bigger rock to stay in one spot. And these are already relatively clean, so rather than digging through all these rocks I've been digging up and having to wash them and clean them, I'll just keep some of these and maybe we can make use of them. rock could be pretty interesting. This one, and I've seen several like this, looks like it's been carved with flutes like a column, but that's just natural. It's really kind of strange. Of course, we've got a rock we've been toting around for years that I found in a creek bottom on Fort Hood, Texas, and it looks like a human skull that's oversized and flattened out. Pretty interesting. Now you want to talk about funny when the movers show up to your house and they ask you if you want to pack all of those rocks, and they look at you crazy when you tell them yes. I found several nautilus fossils in a creek bed down in Austin, Texas, when I was wandering around down there one day. Of course, one of the times I was deployed, they were mistakenly left outside in the winter time, and the water got in them and froze and broke them all into pieces. All right, end of day 2. One side of the house done. Really just 2 more to go. There's a portion on the front. Big thing's gonna be tearing down the fireplace.